right, today we're diving into a really powerful leadership philosophy, the heart of servant leadership.
So, to get us started, I want you to think about this question. What if true greatness isn't actually about power, but about service?
Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to unpack the concept of servant leadership today, specifically how it's presented in a Christian devotional text. Our goal here is pretty simple, just to understand its core ideas exactly as they're laid out in the source. The whole idea, really, is organized around one central theme: leading by serving. You can think of this as the foundation for everything else we're about to talk about. And where does this come from? Well, it all stems from this one verse from the Gospel of Matthew. The source we're looking at uses this quote as the absolute core of its entire leadership model. And, it's a complete flip of the typical hierarchy we're all used to.
So, with that pretty radical idea as our starting point, let's dig in and see how the source actually defines servant leadership.
Okay, so here's the definition laid out nice and clear. For a servant leader, the main motivation, it's not personal gain, right? We're not talking about glory or power or getting a better title. Instead, their entire focus is pointed outward, on serving and building up the people around them.
And this chart really just lays that contrast out perfectly, doesn't it? The source is basically presenting the stark choice between two completely opposite sets of motivations. You've got the drive for personal advancement on one side, and on the other, the drive to advance others. So the whole game, the crucial point, is this big shift from me to we.
Now, to make sure this doesn't all just stay in the realm of theory, the source points to what it considers the ultimate example of this whole principle in action. And that example is the story of Christ washing his disciples' feet. According to the text we're looking at, this one single act is maybe the most powerful demonstration of what servant leadership actually looks like in the real world. What's so interesting here is how the source breaks this down. I mean, think about it. You have the leader, the person with all the authority, who willingly chooses to do the most humble job there is. The big takeaway, according to the source, is that this act completely redefines what leadership is. It's not about power, it's about humility and compassion.
Okay, so moving from that really powerful example, the source then kind of distills this whole idea down into a set of practical qualities that any aspiring servant leader should have.
And it really boils down to these three core things. First, empathy. That ability to actually understand and share what someone else is feeling. Then there's patience, so you can guide and mentor people without getting frustrated. And finally, accountability, just taking real responsibility for the team and how they're doing. And the source makes a really important point here. These aren't just nice to have soft skills, they get real results. You can see how it works. These qualities like empathy and patience, they build trust. And that trust, it creates loyalty. And once you have that, it can actually inspire a real transformation within the whole team. All right, so in this last section, the source pivots from theory to practice. It's not just about learning the information anymore. It actually issues a direct challenge, what it calls the call to action. So this is where it gets personal. This is the application part. You're basically asked to take a step back and honestly look at your own motivations. The real question it poses is, in any leadership role you have, big or small, are you really focused on serving others, or is it more about personal gain? And it wraps up with this really clear, actionable challenge. The idea is to move beyond just nodding along and agreeing with the concept, and actually put it into practice. The goal is to consciously adopt what it calls a servant-hearted approach, to actively go out and look for opportunities to build up the people around you. And that really brings us to the end of this explainer. The source leaves us with a really provocative final thought to chew on. How could these principles of servant leadership be applied in our everyday secular roles today? I mean, think about it. In our jobs, in our communities, even just in our daily interactions. What would that actually look like in practice?